Hi, this is Patti Cox, President of the Council of Citizens with Low Vision International.
And I'm Glenda Such from Low Vision Now.
And you're listening to
White Canes Connect.
Hey there, PA Federationists. Welcome to another episode of White Canes Connect, presented by the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. My name is David Goldstein. I am the first vice president of the NFB of PA. Joining me today is co-host and White Canes Connect creator, Lisa Bryant. Lisa, what do we have on tap today?
A great conversation, David, with Patti Cox from the Council of Citizens with Low Vision International, and more closely to home, Glenda Such, who is head of Low Vision Now, formerly known as the Delaware Valley Council of Citizens with Low Vision.
And as she says in the interview, you can see why they changed the name, because it is a mouthful, but they have so many great points that they make. And if you are somewhere between legally blind and totally blind, they've probably got some things that they talk about in here that will help you. And Lisa, it's always good to hear from folks. I used to consider myself more low vision than blind, but as time goes on, just like with Glenda, it's getting worse and worse and worse. Our journey usually ends. If you're on that journey, it usually ends in blindness. And Glenda talks about that, what it's like. And she lost a good chunk of her vision fairly quickly, which I don't know how I would ever deal with something like that. But they both have a lot of great points to make.
Yeah. So let's listen to our conversation with Patti Cox and Glenda Such.
Patti and Glenda, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Patti. Welcome, Glenda. So nice to have both of you. And it's very timely, as this is Low Vision Awareness Month. And I know that's not specifically what the organization celebrates, but yeah, I mean, because I guess every day is Low Vision Awareness Day for those of us who have that condition. But it just is a good time to have you on. So thank you for coming on. And why don't we start with just some brief introductions? Patti, tell us a little bit about you and how you came to head up the council.
Well, both my parents, my grandparents were members of the American Council of the Blind. And in 1979 is when the Council of Citizens with Low Vision received their affiliation with ACB. And my father was a member for years, and he has had Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
And before he passed back in he said, one thing I want you to do is I want you to get involved in CCLVI. So I did that with 2 feet. I just didn't dip my toe into it. I started the chapter in Kentucky in 2016, and we got our affiliation with CCLVI. And in 2017, when we received that, I also got on the board as a director. And then that rolled into being appointed president and running for a 1-year term. And now I'm in my second 2-year term out of 3. So that's how I always knew about CCLVI, but I never really got involved. I do have an eye condition called aniridia, which is the absence of an iris. So my eyes do not dilate. They are fully dilated all the time. And I've been visually impaired, but I hit I guess you could say, the threshold of calling myself visually impaired in the middle 90s when I had obtained cataracts. Before then, I was just right below the line to call myself visually impaired.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not receive services in school, but I was very boisterous in that I couldn't read the board. I can't copy what you want me to copy. I can't read as fast as everybody else. So I made it through school, but now I do a lot of advocating. I'm also the president of the Kentucky Council of the Blind. And so I'm very involved all around.
Yeah. Sounds like quite a few hats you're wearing there.
Yeah.
But you sound happy to do so. So that's a good thing. Glenda, tell us your story.
Well, I have a rare form of Stargardt's. I have Stargardt's type 4, and that's where you actually lose all your vision. But I had low vision from the time I was 13 until I was 60 something, even 60 something something. And during that time, the beginning of my time with low vision, was in denial, as many of us with low vision were. And then it sort of caught up with me when I started to lose a little more vision, because I started off with perfect vision until I was 13. And then I went down to 2200 within a year. And then it started to degenerate again when I was, I guess, in my early 20s. And so what happened was that I was recommended to go to a low vision group that was headed by Sarita Kimball and Marsha Levy. And that didn't even have a name at that time. And so I went there, and it happened to be the meeting where they decided to become affiliated with the Council of Citizens of Low Vision. There was no I at that time. It wasn't international yet. And so they were going around the room and trying to decide if they wanted to become affiliated. And, each person was giving their views on things. And, they were repeating themselves over and over again. And I thought, I can't take this. So I finally just raised my hand and said, can't we just take a vote? And Serena was like, I love you. Because it was dragging on. So, I got involved heavily at that point, and, we became eventually called the Delaware Valley Council of Citizens with Low Vision. And that name changed in May of last year to Low Vision Now, because we reach well beyond the Delaware Valley now. We have members in 10 states. So, and as far as my affiliation with them, I have been president off and on for years and years and years. And that I stopped being president of Delaware Valley Council of Citizens with Low Vision when I was recruited to go work for Lighthouse International in New York as one of their directors. And I was up there for a while. And then when I retired, I came back to this area again in Pennsylvania and got back involved again. I'm addicted to the group. It just, it gave me like a base to work from, that I wasn't suddenly the only person that had it. So with that, and my personal mission is to empower people, that this just was perfect to have us, to be part of this. And I've been to the conventions, and, and I'd have to say that being a member of just ACB, you can also be members of NFB and see both parties, which I do. So, I'm fully involved in vision, and my background is I have a master's in the education of the visually impaired. So I'm deeply engrossed in the field of vision and low vision specifically.
So the Lighthouse in New York City, is that the Lighthouse?
Yeah, it was Lighthouse International New York City, and it became now the Jewish Guild, because they were bought by the Lighthouse Guild. They were bought by the Jewish Guild.
Glenda, I'm glad you mentioned the different locations. Patti, give us a sense of time-wise how the council grew to become an international organization, and about how many chapters or affiliates are there?
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm not exactly sure when international came in, but I did get a history lesson with one of the members before she passed away. And the reason why they did international, they had some people from Mexico and from some South American countries. And we do have one member that lives in Canada. So they added the international to it when that happened. So we do have 5 chapters. We have a chapter in California. We have the Low Vision Now, one in New York. We have one in Florida and one in Kentucky. And we're always looking to get other people involved from other states. So all that we need is 10 people from one area, one state, or group like Glenda's group. They take dues from all over. So I'm looking to expand our chapters, but we have slowly, as time since lost either track or lost our members who were the international members.
So, Glenda, you mentioned that the change from Delaware Valley was changed to what it is now, Low Vision now, because you have people from where again?
Well, from 10 different states like Connecticut, Florida, Maryland, Virginia, California, Minnesota, Ohio, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, of course, and I'm probably missing a few. New York. I just discovered, Patti, that we do have a member in New York. They just joined. So, and we've not done any serious marketing, but I'm now in the process of getting business cards to send out to our members to distribute to doctors' offices and whatnot, to hand out to patients. And by the way, Low Vision Now, which was Delaware Valley Council of Citizens with Low Vision, you can tell just by that why we changed the name, that we actually formed as a chapter on February 22nd, 85. This is our 40th anniversary this month.
Happy early anniversary.
So
you mentioned that you have folks in roughly 10 different states. Does it get competitive? You'd mentioned Florida, and there's also a chapter in Florida. Do they get mad and say, "Oh, we're going to come to Pennsylvania and grab a couple of folks from there"? How does that all play out?
No, there's enough pie for all of us that we have different things that we offer. They have meetings in person, which we no longer do. We can't. It's like, come on for a party. It's like, from where? So we and we offer speakers and a support section afterwards. Like our meetings, we have speakers, talking about anything from audio description to how to become a mobility instructor to BARD and, and trauma. We had something on trauma recently. So there's all these things that we have people present. And then we just started back in September, at the end of it, having a support section, which we record our meetings and make it available to people. It's on our website, which is lowvisionnow.com or .org, either one. And you can listen to any of our recordings that go back several years. And then, we make that available, and then we stop the recording for people to be able to actually
share freely.
Yeah, share freely. And sometimes it's stemming off of whatever the speaker was talking about, but a lot of times it's just something that's come up for people, individual people. Like there got to be a big discussion about guide dogs and using Uber. And, because our members range from people that have very high low vision, sounds silly, high low vision, and to people that have no vision, because the continuing of some of the pathologies people have is sometimes blindness. And I don't know if this is the appropriate point to say this, but we talk about issues with lighting and people understanding how to be able to deal with their environment, and people that are new to visual impairments, that understanding some of the issues of it, people that don't, like myself, who didn't want to use a cane for years and years and years, and then realized that I needed to and started to use one, but it was a hard struggle to get me to say I needed to use a cane. And as silly as it seems to be now, that was something. And people are going through that to this day, because in low vision, we're sort of the people that are between people who are totally blind and people that are fully sighted.
That's right. That's right.
And people don't get, one of the things that we talk about a lot, blindness is a spectrum. It is not an off or on switch. And people who don't have any kind of visual impairments don't get that. So when they see someone who is using a cane, like myself, but may notice something or someone coming towards me or something like that and kind of step aside, they say, "Hey, wait, what's going on? It looks like you can see." And yes, I can see a little bit. I couldn't tell what that blob was, a man, a woman. I can't tell, but I saw something heading towards me and I didn't want to run into it. So,
and some days you do see it and some days you don't.
Right, exactly.
And that's a good place to transition to the next topic of just why it is helpful to have a group that is serving folks who are either considered high partial, low vision, half empty, half full, however you want to phrase it, as opposed to, and all of them have their place. But why do you think it's also helpful to have a group specifically dedicated to those with low vision? Patti, why don't you start first with that?
It is very important because we're not blind, we're not sighted, and none of us see the same thing.
Mhm.
And so having that group, you know, groups of blind people, it's all about your speech and how you do it without vision. And then you've got the sighted groups who just, they do whatever. Even the deaf groups, they can see
Mhm.
what's going on around them. And then you've got those of us who are right there in between. Some see, like Glenda was saying, they can see better than others, and as you go through that journey of low vision, a lot of people lose their vision. And so it's important to have that group there to have support.
Mm.
An example, we have an in-person meeting once a month here. And the questions are, how do I pour my coffee? How do I pour my milk? How do I spread the peanut butter on the bread? And when you go to, when you're totally blind, you figure that out. But today you might be able to see to spread it. And tomorrow that piece of bread is just blurry as anything?
Mhm.
So how do people do the everyday living things not knowing if they're going to see clear or blurry or not see at all the next day? Because some of these eye diseases you see today and tomorrow you don't.
Mhm.
And then the next day you do see again. So just giving the support on how to live independently to me is the most important thing about our our group. Because when you're totally blind and your vision's not changing, it's gonna be that way.
Mhm.
So once you learn how to live independently with blindness, it's different than with low vision
Yeah.
because we just don't know what the next minute, the next day, or the next month is gonna bring.
And Glenda, you have a very unique position as starting out with low vision, supporting others with low vision, and now being on the more total vision loss side. So, can you talk about that? Has there been any change in your, lack of a better word, service to the two different groups? Or just whatever you want to share about, supporting people with low vision, how that is just as important, just as helpful. It sounds like from what Patti was saying, our sort of charge is to be sort of educators to the wider community about vision loss and the spectrum, as David mentioned. But your thoughts on serving low vision from your perspective?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's greatly enhanced my ability to understand
Mm.
what's going on. I mean, I understand what it was like to be able to pass as being totally visual, through now where I can't fall back on seeing anything. I mean, I see light, but that's it.
Yeah.
And so it's actually made me have more depth to my understanding and how functioning changes when you can't see anything versus when you have low vision and various stages of low vision, because I had all the stages of it too. But, when talking about doing this, that, we share stories with each other of things that happen. And, it's nothing like sharing a story and people getting it.
Mhm.
You try to share a story about what happened to you because of your low vision, and people who are fully sighted or perhaps never saw don't really appreciate all the things that happen during stories, the shock of not being able to function doing this one task, or the frustration in trying to use a method, or all that. People getting support in having those feelings and actually giving ideas of alternative things they could have done. You know, it's like I said to somebody that I first met with low vision, who actually has the same name as me, Glenda, that people were talking to her, and I heard everybody saying, that all these things positive about, you can do this and you'll be able to do that and all this stuff. And I turned to her and I said, and you can also be really angry about being visually impaired too. That's okay. And so, it's I'm able to now say that too, where I can say it's okay to be angry about that I don't have any more vision. I mean, I used to be an artist at some point, my early life, and drew a lot. And according to AI, it's good drawings. And I also did photography, and I've had two shows, one in Philly and one in New York, nature photography. And and I'll say it, taken away from me, that, you know, I can understand a sense of the loss. And when people have low vision and they have this change is always occurring, that you have continuous losses that you're going through and grieving processes. And, people need to know that we understand that we went through it or are going through it or could go through it. And sometimes it's scary for people that are in groups like this to meet people that are on the other end of your eye condition that could go that way. But to see us functional and to see that, we're still doing really well. I mean, I live by technology. That's my field. And, being an example for that, not going, hey, I can do this, but just functioning using it gives them a sense of, okay, this is all possible. So I think, like I said, it expanded my ability to understand, and also lets people see that if it is going to happen, that there are things that are going to be hard, but there's many, many things that I still do. And I do better actually on some things now.
So my situation is different than Glenda, and I don't without losing. I mean, I've lost some vision since I was a child, a teenager. When I had cataracts after the cataract surgery, I lost some, and I've lost a little bit since. And I didn't want to believe it myself, but I don't know what it's like for someone to rapidly. And so I listen to stories like Glenda's, but I can also say that I've lived with it, and here is how I have done a certain task. And I can say, this is how I do it. And that has helped a lot of people. We have a lot of new people that come to our in person group here in Louisville, Kentucky. And the Kentucky group does sponsor that, but it's only in person in Louisville. And so each new person, it seems like I learn a little more on how their vision and how they're losing it, but it's also rewarding to be able to give tips, tricks on how to do things, and them to come back and say, "Oh, I tried this. This is great. I never thought I could do that." The other thing I wanted to say is, when you're out in public, we have to make sure that we advocate for ourselves more, because people don't see you as blind, but they don't know that you're not sighted. You're just a person like me wearing a pair of glasses. So they figure that you can see everything you need. Like if you go into the doctor's office and they want you to fill out paperwork. Well, you ask for assistance, and then they want you to do it in front of the whole waiting room. And before they even say anything, they say, "Well, why do you need it?" You know, I gladly say I'm visually impaired and I have trouble, but they take you for a sighted person. So my thing is to people is, not only can I give you advice on how to do things, but how to make sure that you're advocating to do everything that you need to do in life.
So here is a question that, not a question so much as a thought that I'd like your thoughts on. Do you think that in not using some of the tools like a white cane or a guide dog, even though you have a good deal, if you're high partial, for instance, like I guess I'm considered high partial, In not using those sort of identifiers, are we sort of setting ourselves up for situations like you just described? Do you think it's better to have that sort of identifier, just as a heads up? Do you think in our not using that, do we do our own selves a disservice?
We're harder to believe when we don't use it because for many, many
Yeah.
years, as I mentioned, I didn't use a cane.
Yeah.
And, also my ability to say I'm visually impaired was also difficult because you didn't have something that helped you out with that. And it makes it so you're almost more valid, has some ability to you
Yeah.
because you have the trappings
Yeah.
of something. But, and I have to tell you that even having the white cane, that people will give me directions and they'll point and I'll lift the cane in front of me and point at the cane going, "Could you tell me the instructions?" And, then they sometimes get it and sometimes they don't. So, but you're right. It does do us a disservice by not having something that helps to be able to add to your story for your request,
Yeah. Yeah.
That is one of my biggest issues. We've all heard it. It's right over there. And you have to say, where is over there? And I will sometimes, when I'm out and about, will point to where I think they mean, and they'll say no, and I'll say, all right, give me more verbal directions on where over there is. People just don't get. They're so used to being in the sighted world. They have no idea. Some people say, how do you use a phone? How do you use a computer? I was at a conference last month in Orlando, and how do you use your phone? People were asking me. They couldn't believe that I came from Philadelphia to Orlando on my own and, was at the right hotel and checked in and, and was attending.
Aren't we amazing?
Yeah.
Aren't we
amazing? Yeah.
I think that it's how comfortable you are in your own skin sometimes, because I will say when I go to places where there is a lot of glass windows, I'll give you an example. An airport is a place that I will carry a cane because glare and light is very hard on me. So I don't want to run over that chair. I don't want to run into that pillar that is sticking out that foot and a half into the walkway, trying to avoid people. And then you've got the lighting situation and the sun's glaring. And so I use a cane. But when I go to the store, when I go to an unfamiliar store, or even if I do go to Walmart and they've done a rearrange in the store, and I don't know where something is, and they say, oh, it's in aisle 13. And I know I have been in aisle 13 for 10 minutes, and then I had to come look for you. Can you tell me where in aisle 13? Well, it's down on the right. Okay. My next thing is I'm visually impaired. Could you please show me where it's at? Next time I won't have to ask you.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of saying to people I'm visually impaired. And sometimes you get my grandma can't see or my aunt can't see. And I'm like, well, can they not see? Are they blind? So it strikes that conversation
Right.
to also maybe help them, say the right things, because I found out one person said their aunt was blind, but the aunt really could see. They were just visually impaired. And the perception that they made was, well, they can't see anything at all, which they really could. So, but then you tell them about your organization and that brings them in.
When I started to use my cane, I was living in Philadelphia, and I went into a pharmacy, a large chain pharmacy, and I asked the person like Patty did, "Why would I find this?" And the person said, "Over there," which was a big help. And so, I mean, I had, some real usable vision, but over there was pretty a wide category. So then I tried again, and I held up my cane and pointed to it, and he said, aisle 3. I'm like, "And aisle 3 is like which direction?" So then he told me, and then I went to walk away, and I heard him say, how are you going to shop? You can't see. And
That's hurtful.
I ripped around and went right into the man's face. I mean, literally standing face to face with him. And I said, "What did you say?" He said, "You heard me." And
he did double down even.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I yelled out, "Manager, I want the manager." And so they got the manager, they brought him out. I said, "I want him fired." And they had a conversation with me. They did not fire him, but they required him to go back for training. And I just thought, and I don't even know where that came from me, but I was like, what nerve to say that to me. But yeah, and so, there's going to be situations where these odd things happen. And sharing stories like that, really help people feel not alone in these bizarre situations we get into.
Right. And just doing what you did, there was at least 2 or 3 people in that store that are now more aware that you did have vision, even though you were carrying a cane, and how other people should respect us. And that was probably a beautiful thing. I wish I was a fly on the wall.
It was a moment. It was definitely a moment.
But you both gave very good answers, probably the best conversation on this that I've had in a while, to that question of, is there some self-blame or some self-responsibility that we need to own? And it's no one answer. So Patti, where you may not be using the cane at the time, you're very willing to go into the explanation and give that little, as they say, teachable moment, right there on the spot. And Glenda's saying, you know what? There are some instances where the cane can be helpful, but then of course you may also have, the unfortunate situation that you had too. So there's no one real answer. So thank you both for that. But I want to get back to the organization and about how, and I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, Patti, do you know about how many members there are, like a general range, nationwide or internationally?
Right now, we have about 260 members.
Okay.
We're in our membership challenge right now to get members. But at one point, I think it was CCLV at the time, before it went international, they had like 1,000 members at one point.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And I don't know the full history of that, I'm going to be honest. So, but each year that I've been president, we have gained membership. We have quite a few programs that we have each week. Monday nights, we have on the first Monday of the month, we have a peer support group. It's for family and friends. So family members, friends of people, even the visually impaired person themselves can get a little bit of support on how to either support that visually impaired person or themselves. On the second and the fourth Mondays of the month, we do game night and we play Outburst, we play Family Feud, Blackjack, we've played Dice, we play 5 Seconds. There's a plethora of games that I have adapted to do on Zoom, and I am the MC. And then on the third Monday of the month, we have a peer support. It is usually for those who are visually impaired to talk about the challenges that they've had that week, that month, or just to come listen and then maybe give advice to people. So it's a really good Zoom meeting if you're having trouble with anything, any aspect of your vision. And then on Thursdays, the first Thursday, we have our Let's Talk Low Vision. That is streamed also on ACB Media. That we usually have vision specialists, those who work with low vision. Sometimes we've even had a bird watcher where they know all the bird sounds. And so it's different subjects, but it is all centered around low vision. And then the third Thursday of the month is our book club. And they pick a book each month and they have people come talk about it. Now, we might be changing that session but for right now, it is the third Thursday. And then on the second and the fourth Thursday of the month, we have different subjects. We might have somebody in the low vision field talk, tips and tricks. Sometimes we've talked about eggplant. Our first vice president grows eggplant and all that you can do with eggplant. It was one of our, it was a very, very big group that was on the night. It was amazing. And then they've talked about asparagus and you'd be amazed. So I've done cooking. I've actually done line dancing where my daughter's my videographer and I show them the steps and they can put their video on, or I also give the verbal cues of what to do.
Oh, nice.
And so it's a variety of things that we do on Thursday night. We also have committees. There are 14 different committees. And so we have something for everyone. And we enjoy having members get involved with the committees. And I would love to see more involved. So, if you have a passion for fundraising, we have a fundraising committee. So come join us.
With the organization, your organization, do they funnel folks your way who have some vision? How do you guys, you're affiliated with them, but what's the connection between the two organizations?
So if someone calls and they say, I'm losing my vision, I do have some sight, I've looked at your website and I want to become a member, and they become a member at large, they give them the information. And we also, when they become a member, they give permission for them to give us their information. And we contact them or they contact us and we let them know of all of our programs. Sometimes we're at the national convention, the ACB national convention, and you see people that have low vision and they're not a part of your organization. I'm one that will just go approach you and say, "Hey, I see that you have some vision. Have you heard of us?" I'm a very outgoing person, so we work together when it comes to different legislative issues and bills that are in Congress. If it's about low vision, they usually contact us and ask us questions like, is this what you want? Is this what your organization would, you know, sponsor to, you know, move forward with that bill? Do you see anything wrong with it? So we're the experts on the low vision, but we are members of ACB. So it's they have many groups that have different interests. So we are the only low vision group within ACB that encompasses everyone. There is another one that is Alliance in Aging with Vision Loss. And that is, I know that we all take membership from anybody who wants to give us money. But theirs is more of the older population. And we do have some scholarship. We have scholarships that we give away every year. We give away 4. One year it's to freshmen. The next year it'll be to graduate. But we have 4. So one would be like this year we have a freshman, 2 graduate, and 1 undergraduate. And that is funded by Fred Scheigert, who was very instrumental in CCLVI. That will continue since he has passed on and his wife just passed away in January, and that will continue. So we bring in young people and try get them involved and get them to, a lot of them are okay with their low vision, but help them further along, in their studies and past post college.
Yeah, I saw there were scholarships, awards. There are actually quite a number of resources that you offer. Glenda, you talked a little bit about the meetings here. What else could people sort of expect from a typical monthly meeting. And are there any other resources or supports that you offer?
Well, we do, like I said, have the meetings once a month. We have a Zoom meeting. And because our membership is not as high as the people that attend, because we do not require people to be members to attend. We have people from Canada and all over that come. We have people from AmeriCorps that attend, so all different type of people attend. And when people do become members, which we encourage, that we provide a membership list in which we list the people's names, phone numbers, and with their agreement, of course, names, phone numbers, email addresses, what state they're in, and what their eye pathology is. So that when people go down the list, they can see, oh, this person has my eye condition. Let me give them a call and talk to them about this, see what their experience is. So that's a new thing for us that we started doing just this year. Yeah, so I really like that we've got that going. And as far as resources, we are the resources. That when people come and they're talking about needing to do something or issues or whatever, we all have so many resources we know about that we just say, who knows about this? And people will pop up with numbers and names and all sorts of things. So, we provide that. We're going to be starting a second meeting of the group mid-month. And I haven't quite decided whether or not it's going to be on a nighttime or of the weekend or something. But with people all over, it's kind of hard to figure out what time. And when we do that, we're going to have that as a support section, not a speaker. So it'll be like something to help people between sessions, the Zoom sessions, to be able to talk about what's going on with them. And we also have a phone line. People can call and ask if they need to know some information. We have a very nice person, Kathy Locker, who answers our phone for us. And, she get back to you. And if she doesn't know the answer, she funnels it to somebody who will. And then the person gets back to them. We also have an email address, which is lowvisionnow. People can write to us and ask questions or want to find out more information from us. So, and because we'll have, and actually on our website, we have a lot of resources as well. It's, as a resource page. We have a lot of information there too. Can I say a little bit about our website? Okay. Our website, which I think I mentioned, is lowvisionnow.com. Also lowvisionnow.org. We own both domains. On that page, there's resources, there's information about low vision, about different type of eye conditions, information about that. We also have a section, which I think is quite interesting. It's on simulations of eye conditions. And it's actually videos. We didn't make them. Were ones that we found on YouTube where you can look up your eye condition. It's not all, because there's not been things made for all. There's like the major ones. Diabetic retinopathy, macular degeneration, RP, and glaucoma, things like that. But it shows you in the videos what it's like to have that vision condition walking through a park or standing in front of a busy highway thinking about crossing. And it's not so much for you, the visually impaired person, to see, but it's for you to be able to show a family member or a friend or something so they can get a better understanding of what's going on. They might also get like, how do you do that with your vision? Once they see that, they would get frightened for you. But, and we offer support just generally to each other. So, and also, education that we provide at times, information about different things with the ADA or whatever. I'm going to have a speaker probably in July talking about the ADA. We have a speaker coming on in May. David Goldfield's going to talk about AI with visual impairment. And next month in March, the first Saturday of March, I'm going to be talking about apps for people with visual impairments on iPhones and a little bit about Androids. I'm not that good with Androids, but ones that are both, it's all that. And so, it's all encumbering at some point, and also has its limits. There's only so much time we can devote because we're, all donating our time to it.
You talked about membership. What are membership dues for the organization?
I'll say from ours, from Low Vision Now, our membership is $25 a year, not a month, a year. And that gives you immediate membership into the Council of Citizens of Low Vision International and also ACB. So you get all of it at once. And with that, if you have an issue with paying that money, we have scholarships available for you, and they're not hard to get. You don't have to prove that you're desolate to be able to get them. You ask for them and you're probably just going to get it. Members have donated money to that fund so that we would be able to help people that have problems with the $25.
That was going to be my next question. If someone can't pay, how do you fund that? So that's an ongoing fund that's separate from anything else that you guys do.
Yes.
Okay.
And our dues are $15 a year. If you are a member of one of the chapters or if you're a member at large. It's 15 across the board. CCLVI has a magnification award. It is named for Samuel Janinski, who was the first president of CCLVI and the father of the CCTV. It's the Janinski Foley Award, and Carl Foley, who is a great guy, he used to sell magnification devices pretty much to the east side of the Mississippi. And he made sure he took the time with people to get the right magnification device. Wasn't one that just wanted to give you sell you a CCTV that cost thousands of dollars if you really needed just a regular magnifying glass that lit up. So, but that starts on March 1st. It's on our website, cclvi.org. There is information about it. We have some handheld magnifiers that are just regular magnifying glasses with a light on it. We do have a CCTV, and we're going to have two handheld video magnifiers also. And what people do is if they need a device, they will fill out an application and then they will go through an interview process. And then we will choose however many devices we have, we will choose the, that many people. And if we don't get somebody that needs a handheld, then we will talk to our members. But also we do have a resource page that is pretty lengthy on our webpage, and we have been doing podcasts with other organizations, other agencies, and so we're sharing with them. If you all have any information that you would like to share on our resource page, or we can share ours with you, that would be great. But again, our information to get us is cclvi.org. We do have an 800 number if someone is listening to this podcast and they just need some help. Our toll-free number is 1-844-460-0625. And you can get a hold of us there or cclvi.org. And anyone who has any vision problems, just please let us know. We're here to help.
And Glenda, just remind us again, when you meet, it is virtual now. Are there any plans down the line to meet in person again?
No, there's not, because the membership is so split all over the place.
So you couldn't do like a hybrid?
That's a possibility. That's a good idea now that you mentioned it. I hadn't thought of that. So give you one feather on that one.
Thank you. Only because that's what we're doing now with our chapter.
Yeah, that may be an idea, because people have said they miss the face-to-face contact and going out to lunch afterwards, which is always
it's all about the lunch afterwards, right? But just tell us when you meet again and how people can contact you.
Yeah, we meet on the first Saturday of the month, unless there's a holiday, which then we meet on the next Saturday of that. This will be the second one when there's a holiday conflict. And it's a Zoom meeting, and you can either, come in with video or come in by phone, either way. How to be able to join the Zoom meetings is on our website, and our website is lowvisionnow.com or lowvisionnow.org. Either way, you come to the same place. And our phone number is 484-566-3619. And if you go to our website, the phone number is on the first page, And if you're using a cell phone, a smartphone, if you tap on it, we'll just take you right to that phone number and it would just call you. So you can just call right through. And we have an email address, which is lowvisionnow@hotmail.com. Again, lowvisionnow@hotmail.com. And hopefully I'll be able to show you in the webpage that we're going to start meeting another time during the month for just the support, an additional support, sort of a booster between times.
A mid-month booster, huh?
Yeah.
Patti and Glenda, this has just been a great conversation with you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you. It's been great.
Thanks again to Patti and Glenda for stopping by and giving us all the information that they have during this Low Vision Awareness Month. And Lisa, there's, again, a lot of great points they have, and they've got some great resources, too.
They do. And as anyone that knows me knows, this is my world. So I'm always personally happy to connect with folks who are in the low vision field or the low vision community, I should say. And David, you're absolutely right. There are tons of resources that, and in fact, Patti mentioned to us later after the show that there may be even something from their websites, from the international website that you can download, because it's always good to have something sort of handy if you want to educate someone on the spot about the spectrum and the diversity of vision loss.
Right. And I will put that link in the show notes so you can have a look there. One thing that interests me, and I haven't been to check it out yet, what Glenda said about the different eye conditions and the videos that they have. If you have this, here's what it looks like when you're walking through the park. If you have this, this is what it looks like. If you have this, this is what it looks like. And so many sighted folks don't get how we see things differently. And even in our community, if you've got RP or Stargardt's or something, you don't know how somebody with glaucoma may see something. So it's just very helpful. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. And I'd be interested to hear from folks on if you have low vision. And I know, Lisa, you always say high partial. I have, up until the time I met you, I had never heard that word. And I hear it a lot. And I heard it down at Washington seminar, wondering what folks who have some vision, what do you call yourself? Do you call yourself low vision? Do you just say, I can't see? What do you say? Please reach out and let us know. 267-338-4495 is our number. You've got up to 3 minutes. Leave your name and town if you do leave a voicemail. Again, 267-338-4495. And of course, you can use that if you have show ideas or any other questions for us.
Well, I have to give credit where credit is due. The first time I heard the term high partial was my very first state convention from our very own Jim Antonacci. I'm like, oh, I like that. I like it. It's more like the glass half full to me. So yeah, and remember even at the convention there was a lot of discussion about even using the term visually impaired. So
I like to just say I can't see. That really clears it up. And I usually add another word in there that I will not use here, but you can imagine what it is. And it's just, if you can't see, and it's funny how we all experience the same thing. It doesn't matter what organization you're with. If you have some sort of vision issue, you're totally blind, you got some sight, you're high partial, whatever it is, and you ask somebody where the such and such is, and they say, oh, it's right over there. That is just infuriating to me. And then you ask again with the cane, like Glenda says, holding it up in the air, like you're Moses getting the 10 Commandments. And they still say it's right over there, and they're probably pointing to something. I don't know where the disconnect is there, but it is very frustrating.
Well, first of all, David, thank you for keeping it family friendly. We appreciate
Talking
that.
about two different things, Moses and the F word.
And if you would like to expand your thoughts past the 3-minute mark, you can certainly email us at whitecanesconnect@gmail.com.
And Lisa, before we go, I did want to mention we have in an upcoming episode, we have Stacy and Marva on from the Blind Parents Organization, and they're doing a fundraiser. We're going to have some more information coming soon on that. I also wanted to mention that the Blind Merchants have a spring fling coming up on May 17th in Harrisburg at the Best Western Premiere, where our state convention is going to be in November. On May 17th, Spring Fling, it's going to showcase blind vendors and their different goods that they sell and businesses that they run. So we hope you can make it out there. It's also a fundraiser for the Blind Merchants Division. So again, May 17th, there'll be more information to come, and maybe we'll have Pam on before then to talk about that and what we're going to do there.
Great show, David.
Yeah, a lot of great information.
And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening. Take care.